Tonight, you will go one-on-one with The Undertaker.
What's up, guys? Welcome to One on One. I'm your boy Nash, and I'm sitting here with Ta Shady, and we're gonna have a great talk about wrestling. But before I go any further, guys, remember, smash the like button on this video and subscribe to Pro Wrestling Central if you haven't already. And most certainly do turn on those bell notifications so you'll be the first to know whenever we hit the airwaves again. And yeah, guys, don't feel shy. Comment down below and contribute to this conversation. We want to hear what you guys want to say. We at Pro Wrestling Central always love reading your comments. And I mean, for those of you who don't know, for those uninitiated, let me just explain to you why this show is called One on One. It's basically named in honor of the longest running SmackDown general manager, Theodore R. Long, who always used to tell his competitors on his roster that if they don't like it, then tonight, player, you're going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. But right now, I'm going to go one-on-one with Ta Shady. Not in a match, but in a conversation about wrestling. So Ta Shady, man, welcome to it. It's been a minute. We've finally managed to get down to it and get you on the Pro Wrestling Central channel. I've been looking forward to this personally for a very long time. I'm glad you're finally getting to it. So just introduce yourself to the viewers watching and exactly how you got introduced and started watching this wacky and wild world of professional wrestling.
Thank you, brother. Hey, guys, this is Ta Shady, and I'm just a long-term of a professional wrestling fan. I've started watching professional wrestling since the year of 2004, and I started the basic brand that I started watching was basically, as Nash has just mentioned, none other than the blue brand itself from the WWE SmackDown. And my main attraction was basically none other than The Undertaker himself, because he's the first person that I watched in professional wrestling, and he attracted me a lot, and I definitely loved everything about him. That's where now I had to go on, and I started to love a lot of professional wrestling. I had to keep on and just watching and watching, did a lot of research, trying to find what is it all about. But you know that back in the day, there weren't that much of Google and all those stuff. So you just have to find out some from some of the best made guys who knows what it is all about, you know, and they give you all that advice. You just make it in between and you just put it together. And then it built up on the love you have for professional wrestling. And up until at this stage, I still love professional wrestling. I can never choose anything over it. It's my main thing, and it's the main thing that I still love right now. Majority of people who knows me knows that I'm into professional wrestling, and I can never choose anything over it.
Bros before hoes, as Zack Ryder would say. So yeah, I mean, I explained this on the previous one-on-one with Kyle that I started watching wrestling way back in 1997. No one believes me because I was probably 3 years old, but I remember my very first match. ETV back then, which is our local public free-to-air TV station here in South Africa, showed WCW Nitro. My first match was watching the guy that we all love to hate now, but back then was my favorite guy of all time, Goldberg, taking on Hugh Morris in his debut match. It was absolutely phenomenal. I was a huge Goldberg fan, but I mean, nowadays, not so much. I like to tease him and call him Oldberg now. But I mean, back then I was into Goldberg, you know, Spear, Jackhammer, that was my thing. And yeah, I also watched when WCW dissolved and WWE came in. I watched Monday Night Raw that used to air on Sundays at 5 p.m. SmackDown used to come on Wednesdays at 8:30. And then later on, they added another show called Velocity, used to come on at Saturdays at 5. And then eventually more and more shows came on. We had Vintage Collection, NXT. I mean, there was just so much of wrestling. Afterburn, Bottom Line, you name it. It was all there for us to watch. I enjoyed it to this day. I still love watching wrestling. And yeah, like you said, back then, there wasn't Google or internet or any of that stuff. We had to watch it. We had to physically sit our buttocks down in front of the TV and watch wrestling. Because if we missed it, we missed it. That's it. There's no repeats. There's no, going online and watching the matches again. No, if you missed it, that was it, bro. That you're not getting another chance. You just got to watch replays the next week. So yeah, that was amazing. And for myself personally too, I love professional wrestling. There's nothing I would choose over it. But I mean, you and I think most wrestling fans started watching WWE. Like, that's the mainstay. I mean, WWE is the Coca-Cola, the McDonald's of wrestling. No one's going to overtake them. Then eventually there were other wrestling promotions that came around. Your TNAs, your Ring of Honors, New Japan Pro Wrestling is kind of hot for a while. We had for a while probably my favorite wrestling promotion of all time, and no one will ever change my mind about this, was Lucha Underground. I'm not sure if you've ever had a chance to watch Lucha. It was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the closest thing you'll ever get to that was probably AAA, Mexico. And I know you enjoy watching a little Japanese promotion called Stardom as well. It's out there. So, I mean, looking at all the wrestling promotions, right, putting them all in one box, if you had to pick and choose and speak about each wrestling promotion, at the end of the day, what do you feel like is your favorite wrestling promotion, and what would be the reasons why? And if you can say that, listen, I don't really have a favorite, just give your little thoughts on each of the promotions that we have now, your WWEs, AEWs, New Japans, etc.
To be honest, for me, there's basically no favorites very much, because basically every promotion, in my opinion, is basically like there is one thing that the other promotion is better than the other promotion in one thing, and the comparison that I've seen lately, I can see that a lot of people, they're having that lot of all those arguments, which promotion is better and so on. And then I just look over it and then I tell myself, no ways, I love them all, because basically they all deliver the same thing. At one certain time, one promotion will kind of disappoint, and then the other one will be on a roll. And then the same one that is on the roll kind of disappoints itself, and the other one is picking up itself again. So basically everything for me is the same, and there's not much of a difference, although the atmosphere on the arenas and with the commentators and everything that is being done inside of the arena in front of the whole crowd and everything like that maybe just be a little bit different. But for me, at the same moment, again, whole professional wrestling companies, they are basically the same with a lot of things, and they don't differ that much for me. So I basically enjoy professional wrestling. A lot of people ask me, how do I watch other promotions besides WWE? Because they are boring and stuff like that. And I tell them, they will never understand my love for professional wrestling. I don't care how boring or whatever. As long as I'm just watching professional wrestling, then I'm all good. And I just want to see what kind of different stuff can attract me, because I'm being attracted in a lot of ways by different promotions at this moment. And I definitely don't have really a favorite at this moment. A lot of people think maybe now that my favorite at this moment, maybe it's AEW, because I talk a lot about it lately. But it's not the fact that it's my favorite. It's just that there are a certain few things that are attracting me a lot now in All Elite Wrestling. But at the same moment, as time goes, it will lower down. And then something in WWE maybe, or at Impact Wrestling, is going to show up and attract me. And I'm going to start talking more about it. So that's how I actually am. But at this moment, I definitely love every single promotion. There's no promotion for me that is my favorite. I love them all at the same time and combined. And that's me. I love professional wrestling. Just like John Moxley's entrance song is saying, I'm a wild thing to professional wrestling.
That's what I like about you, brother. You watch all the wrestling promotions. You're not just biased to one or the other. But every wrestling fan has their favorite wrestler, male and female. They have their favorite match. They have their favorite moment. So looking back on the past of wrestling and now, just give us a basic idea of what is Ta Shady's favorite stuff about wrestling. Who are your favorite wrestlers, your favorite matches, moments? What did you like about wrestling in the past that made you a fan? And what do you like about it now that keeps you as a fan?
So basically, my favorite wrestler of all time, I'm going to start with that one. My favorite professional wrestler of all time is none other than the Hitman himself. The best days, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Bret the Hitman Hart. And I'm sure that at this moment you know already that I've even talking about him lately a lot. But for me, the thing that attracted me in Bret the Hitman Hart is basically he is basically incredible with wrestling. He's using a lot of wrestling style. Now, when you look at a difference between us who watched a lot of stuff from Bret the Hitman Hart, even though I wasn't born then, but I followed the stories that built up towards his matches. A lot of people will say, no, their matches are slow and boring. But for me, the main thing is how is the story? How is the build up towards the whole thing? And you know, back in the golden era, the thing that attracted people is basically on the build up. So when it comes to Bret the Hitman Hart, he's that kind of guy who gives me that feeling that I need to. His style is different when I look at it from other professional wrestlers, you know. And I'm not basically saying that others are bad, but for me, Bret Hart's style is definitely all over just different. And I love the way he is, you know. And when we come to the female wrestler of all time, it's got to be Mickie James. You know, Mickie James has always been my favorite ever since day one, especially the character she used to have, the Psycho Mickie James. Absolutely a top character, and I absolutely enjoyed it. Now, what I love of professional wrestling mostly, it's the story. You know, a lot of people enjoy matches. Maybe the match is fast, maybe the match is kind of slow, but for me, as long as it connects with the story, then I will definitely enjoy it because I love stories and I love something that is positive to the community. Because even though that the heels are now busy now talking all the nonsense and all those stuff and trying to dismotivate people and so on, at the end of the day, there's got to be a baby face that's going to overtop that heel so that he can just tell a positive story. But you will always notice most of the time, sometimes that heels are also those ones that motivate us, you know, with their own positive stuff. You will notice that they are always talking about something that is the truth most of the time. And another thing is that I'm more into high flyers, just like you know, I'm more into high flyers. I love guys who do incredible, like, wow things, you know, it's just wow things. And my favorite high flyer of all time has got to be Jeff Hardy because that guy made my childhood. He absolutely did a lot of crazy things that I absolutely enjoyed, and he will always be that top one. And he's absolutely incredible. So, my favorite wrestlers of all times, as I said, male wrestler, it's got to be Bret the Hitman Hart, and the female of all time has got to be Mickie James. But currently, my favorite male wrestler currently is none other than John Moxley himself. And from the female side, it's got to be AZM, you know, from Stardom, because she's absolutely incredible. She's too young, 19 years old, but you wouldn't say she's that type of girl that is 19 years old. So basically, I enjoy watching her. And it's been a while since I've been watching Stardom. So I'll just get back to it since I'm on holiday at this moment. So I'll just make a plan to get back and just make sure that I'm on the right tail with Stardom. And I'll just watch on New Japanese Professional Wrestling as well and the other promotions. So that's what I love about professional wrestling. You know, stories is the main thing for me. As long as there's a good storytelling, then I'm absolutely into it. I don't mind what is going on and so on. But another thing that I also don't like is when certain professional wrestling companies pushes the same guy or the same girl over and over and over and over. You know, like we know that those guys they are good, but it's very important to give others a chance. Let's see what they can do. You know, even a lot of times back in the day when we are going to make an example of Becky Lynch, you look at Becky Lynch. A lot of people never believed that she could carry a women's division because of her ex role that she had as the Irish lass kicker. Because they said that the role is perhaps maybe dumb, something. But then it's just that the gimmick that came up, the man, you know, it attracted a lot of people. And look where it is at this moment. So for me, it's anyone that can carry a company is the same people that we mostly don't believe can do it. As long as those guys are professional, trained to be wrestlers, they are good in the ring, and even if they are not that good with promos, they are going to work on them, you know. And for me, as I say, basically those guys who most people don't believe can carry a company, they are the ones who can carry the company as long as they just get a good gimmick, a good story, good rivals, and all those things that can mix it up, then everything is just perfect. Everything is perfect.
All right, so you kind of covered like what you like and what you don't like. But just from Ta Shady's perspective, right? I want to know. You mentioned storylines are your main thing, but you also like, just like myself, the high flyers who create spots and matches. So I'm sure there are people out there who want to know what is Ta Shady's favorite match and what is Ta Shady's favorite storyline in wrestling. I mean, you watched back in the Ruthless Aggression era, you watched it through the PG era, the reality era, new era, wrestling, and you watched it all. So you've watched quite a lot of wrestling. So what is your favorite match, moment, and storyline in everything that you've watched so far?
So long, it's a lot of things, but at this moment, you can even count match and story. I will definitely go with The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. You know, it's definitely classic for me. From WrestleMania 25 to WrestleMania 26. But it's not basically just those two WrestleMania moments. It's from Rivals back in 1998. Stories that are followed about these two guys. You know, they brought up classics together. They knew exactly how to work with each other. And for me, the most important thing that I've learned between those two is basically that especially from the promo song that the Undertaker and Shawn Michael had, that there's no grave that can hold your body down. You know, from me, what I've learned basically from that whole thing is that basically that you can never back down up until you feel that it's all over again. So the main thing at the end of this is all about respect. So at the end, as we knew and we saw already at WrestleMania 26, after the match between The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, everything was just about respect. And for me, respect is one of the most important things in this world, to be honest. And I love what Shawn Michael and The Undertaker has told all over these years about who's better and not better and so on. But at the end of the day, it was just all about respect. And I could truly see that both those guys, they definitely respect each other. And I cannot see any better story that I can follow, that I can love the most than The Undertaker and Shawn Michael. And my favorite match between the two of them has got to be the match at WrestleMania 25. You know, it was absolutely an incredible match. Shawn Michael trying to impersonate The Undertaker and all those stuff. It brought up at the end, and it was just incredible, man. And I definitely loved everything about it.
Wow. Yeah, I gotta say that was a great storyline and a match. And I mean the ones that even like succeeded it, the ones with Triple H, the two WrestleManias in a row, the end of an era, also like tied into that, especially when you had Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee in that match. So I think those four WrestleManias altogether really was a story on its own and a great story arc altogether.
Absolutely.
We have spoken a lot on WWE, and I know for a fact that you are also an avid watcher of AEW, Dynamite, and Rampage. So before I go on to the last question, which I do have already planned, I just want to take a little bit of a detour because I know that recently AEW hit its 2-year anniversary, and we had a video. It's actually up on the channel right now about how the major players feel about AEW reaching 2 years. So I want to get your thoughts on this. There were 5 questions, but I want all your thoughts in one go. So your general feeling, how you feel about AEW turning 2 years, what you like about AEW, what you don't like, and what you want to see AEW do going forward.
So when it comes to All Elite Wrestling, there's a lot of things that I like about it, you know. And basically, what I love most of AEW is the way how they make their tag team division, you know, and their tag team matches are most of the time incredible. They never disappoint. You look at teams like Jurassic Express, and you look at the Lucha Brothers as well. You even look at the Young Bucks. Those guys, they deliver incredible matches. So at AEW, I basically love the idea where they are using a lot of young guys, you know, as they get a lot of TV time and everything like that. You know that there are legends as well that they have recently signed, and basically those legends, they are basically, some of them are kind of stealing time, but they are the ones basically helping these young guys to put them over, because you will notice most of the time these young guys, they are the ones that are basically winning most matches, or they are the ones that cover over all the whole story that is being told over there. And AEW at this moment, it's fresh. I'm definitely impressed with it ever since it started from 2019, and I definitely love everything about AEW. Now, a lot of things that just a few things that I don't like about AEW, or stuff that I want them to improve in. Most importantly, the first thing is their women's division. You know, their women's division for me is still not at a good position or at a good place. You know, with Dr. Britt Baker DMD being at the top at this moment, I can see that she's basically also trying to do her best for the women's division. But for me, I don't believe in one person. For me, it's all about teamwork. So if they can just come up with a few stuff and put on the women's division maybe even more, and have good matches or good stories, basically build ups with everything from the women's side, and maybe it can just build up little more and little more. And another thing that I also don't like about AEW is basically the shots they keep on throwing on WWE. And definitely, man, that kind of irritates me most of the time, the way they throw shots at WWE. I think the thing that they should do is they should rather focus on just delivering good shows. You know, everything at the end of the day is going to add up for them, and they will be maybe even near to WWE, even if they don't overtake WWE, because the main thing is not for them to overtake them. It's for us, you know, us fans, so that we can enjoy professional wrestling. So their main focus should be just focusing on just delivering good shows, good stories, and everything will just add up at the end of the day. So basically, I'm definitely loving AEW at this moment, and I can say that I definitely hate it because I absolutely love it. Even though they are throwing a lot of shots at WWE and stuff like that, but besides all of that, I absolutely enjoy AEW. And at this moment, I gotta say that I'm into Darby Allin and Jungle Boy, because you can see that those two guys, they are definitely the future of professional wrestling. And we could even count in with the MJF in the whole thing. But another last thing I've forgotten is basically the fact that AEW is using a lot of unscripted stuff. I think sometimes now and then they need to just put on a good plan and kind of scripts just for the whole thing to kind of work out, because you can notice that some of those wrestlers, they go overboard with some stuff and they barely succeed at certain stuff. So they should basically do a bit of scripted stuff and work on them. And I think that Tony Khan actually as well himself, that he should be the main man to take the decisions, but not just taking the decisions. He should work with some of the guys that's got a lot of experience there on working with the creative part inside. More guys like Brian Danielson, he's got a lot of experience and stuff like that. Even those legends that they have there, they can ask those guys, you know, and have maybe guys like CM Punk to train these young stars on how to do promos correctly and stuff like that. But AEW, absolutely incredible. I love it. And I'm not going to lie by saying that I don't love it. I absolutely love AEW. You know, I'm into All Elite Wrestling as well.
All right, so Shady. So, last question, and we're gonna wrap this up. You love wrestling, right? You love all the wrestling promotions. So we're gonna put all of them in one basket right now. And to close it up, I want to know from you, Ta Shady, looking at where wrestling was now and into the future. We know what you like, we know what you don't like, and we've heard what you want to see AEW do in future. But wrestling as a whole, I'm talking about WWE, New Japan, all of wrestling. Where do you want to see it go in the future, and what do you want to see more of? Like, basically, what do you want to see in wrestling going forward?
So basically in professional wrestling, what I would love to see further is in future, most of these companies should try and leave all those bad habits they have against each other. I want them to combine in future most of the time, have certain major events where AEW stars, Impact stars, WWE stars have one show at one time, have fans maybe to try and vote on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that on which matches do they truly want to see on. And once there's certain votes and have them, and then they can just make up their own minds and build up and start working together, build up certain matches. For instance, like for example, I'm into more. I just want to see a match between Finn Balor and Darby Allin. And basically, we know at this moment, WWE and AEW are sitting at each other's throats at this moment. So basically, in future, I want them to combine, start working together, bring up matches like that, Finn Balor and Darby Allin. And don't just bring up the match just so that we can just enjoy and say, oh, the match happened, it was good. At least there must be a certain build up that they work on it. And it just builds up a good story so that we can just understand at the end of the day whatever the result is going to be of that match, so that we can just understand it, that it's not basically a bad mistake or a bad booking or whatever. And basically, I just want that in professional wrestling as time goes on, And I also want South African promotions also from that has professional wrestling promotions like CPW and HWA, for them to go even abroad as well, and work with these major companies maybe in future time, and just combine and just have a good time. Because at the end of all of this, it just has to be all about having a good time and just enjoying professional wrestling.
Ta Shady, thank you so much for joining us. I got a lot of insight from this conversation. Really, it was a pleasure talking to you. Guys, contribute to the conversation. Comment down in the comment section below. We want to hear what you guys think. Like I said, we always love reading your comments. I'm sure when Ta Shady watches this video as well, he's going to enjoy reading what comments you guys have to say down below. And remember, smash the like button. Let's try and get this video out there as far as possible, and subscribe to Pro Wrestling Central. Share this video with all your fans, all the fans of wrestling. Let's try and get as many subscribers as we can to watch the Pro Wrestling Central, because we are the central of all professional wrestling. Like we said, like Ta Shady does, we love all of wrestling, whether that's WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Stardom, whatever it is. We love all of wrestling. So, guys, let's try and get that out there. Yeah, so Ta Shady, thanks for joining us. And, guys, thanks for watching. And, yeah, until we see you guys for another one-on-one, hopefully sometime down the road. Maybe Ta Shady will join us again some point down the road. You never know. But until that time, guys, peace.